You're surrounded by people but feel completely lost. You've become someone you don't recognize. The noise drowns out who you actually are. Marcus Aurelius spent time alone every single day. Not because he was lonely, because solitude was his forge. 30 days of intentional isolation can rebuild you from the ground up. Here's how the Stoics did it. First, understand this. Solitude isn't loneliness, it's radical self-confrontation. When you're alone, truly alone, the masks drop. The performance ends. You face the raw material of who you are. Most people avoid this. They fill every moment with noise, scrolling, people, anything. They fear the silence because silence reveals truth. The Stoics knew different. Epictetus said the crowd is where you lose yourself. Solitude is where you find yourself. He understood that external voices drown internal wisdom. Think about your average day. How many minutes do you spend in complete silence? No music, no podcasts, no conversations, no background noise. For most people, 0. We've engineered an existence where solitude is impossible, and we've called it connection. But connection without self-knowledge is just noise with company. Imagine this. You cancel plans. Turn off notifications. Sit in complete silence for 1 hour. Just you. Just your thoughts. The first 15 minutes? Uncomfortable. Your mind screams for distraction. It begs for stimulation. It tells you this is pointless. But push through. That discomfort is where transformation begins. The Stoics didn't fear silence. They craved it. Because silence is where you hear yourself clearly for the first time. You can't rebuild what you refuse to examine. But here's what's even more powerful. Now here's the truth most people miss. Being alone exposes your dependencies. You think you need constant validation, endless connection, someone else's approval to feel worthy, someone to tell you you're doing okay. 30 days alone strips that away, completely. Seneca isolated himself regularly, not to escape life, to strengthen his foundation. He wrote letters about the power of withdrawal, not permanent escape, strategic retreat. He understood something profound. Most people are addicted to external input. Remove it and withdrawal symptoms appear. Anxiety, restlessness, a desperate urge to check your phone. These aren't personality traits, they're dependencies. Picture this. Day 3 of the challenge. No texts to answer. No social media to check. No one asking anything of you. At first it feels empty, uncomfortable, wrong. But then something shifts. You realize how much of your identity was borrowed. How many opinions weren't actually yours. How many beliefs you absorbed without questioning. Your political views? Probably from your social circle. Your life goals? Probably from societal expectations. Your self-image? Probably from others' reactions to you. In solitude, you discover which parts of you are actually you. Most people build themselves from external materials. Stoics build from internal bedrock. This connects to something crucial we'll discover ahead. Dependencies make you fragile. Self-sufficiency makes you unbreakable. Here's where it gets interesting. Silence reveals what you've been running from. Regrets, failures, the gap between who you are and who you pretend to be. The promises you broke to yourself, the dreams you abandoned. You can't outrun these in solitude. There's nowhere to hide. Marcus Aurelius wrote Meditations alone. Every page confronted his flaws, his mortality, his responsibilities. He didn't write for publication. He wrote for excavation. He dug into his own psyche, ruthlessly. He didn't sugarcoat. He didn't justify. He examined. This is the practice of prososhe, attention to oneself. The Stoics considered it foundational. You cannot improve what you cannot see. Think about this. Week 1, alone with a journal. You write down every uncomfortable truth you've avoided. I wasted 3 years in the wrong relationship. I'm not working toward anything meaningful. I've let fear make every decision. I've been pretending to be someone I'm not. I don't actually like the life I've built. It stings. Every word burns. But pain is the beginning of clarity. Most people spend decades avoiding these truths. They stay busy. They stay distracted. They stay surrounded by noise that drowns out the whispers of their conscience. The Stoics took a different path. They sat with the pain. They wrote it down. They faced it. Seneca asked himself every night, "What bad habit have I curbed? What virtue have I pursued? How am I better?" This isn't comfortable. It's not supposed to be. Most people medicate discomfort. Stoics metabolize it. Now watch what happens when you stop running. Here's what the Stoics really meant by self-mastery. You can't master yourself in distraction, only in focused solitude. Every day alone builds your internal fortress, brick by brick, thought by thought. Cato the Younger practiced self-denial in isolation, cold baths, simple meals, physical discomfort, walking barefoot, wearing rough clothing, not punishment, training. He understood that comfort weakens resolve, ease erodes discipline, pleasure, when constant, becomes a prison. So he chose difficulty, voluntarily. Imagine this. Day 10. You wake before sunrise, cold shower, simple breakfast, 2 hours of focused work, no entertainment, no comfort scrolling, no easy escapes. Your mind fights it, your body resists. Every cell screams for the old patterns. But each day you choose discipline over impulse. You're rebuilding your control center. The Stoics called this enkrateia, self-control, power over your own responses. Most people are controlled by their impulses. The notification dings and they check. The craving hits and they eat. The emotion rises and they react. That's not freedom. That's slavery with extra steps. Remember what we said about dependencies? This is where you break them. Day 10, you don't check your phone because you chose not to. You feel the urge and let it pass. You watch the craving rise and fall without acting. That's power. Real power. Discipline in private becomes power in public. But there's something deeper. This is what shifted my perspective entirely. Solitude teaches you the difference between alone and lonely. Most people use these words interchangeably. The Stoics knew their opposites. Lonely is feeling incomplete without others. Alone is feeling complete within yourself. Lonely is a void that needs filling. Alone is a fullness that overflows. The Stoics distinguished this clearly. Epictetus was a slave, isolated, physically broken. His leg was deliberately crippled by his master. He owned nothing, controlled nothing external, yet he said his mind was freer than emperors, because he'd built an inner world no one could take from him, a fortress of thought, a sanctuary of reason. His body was chained, his mind was boundless. This is what 30 days alone can build. Not immediately, not easily, but inevitably. Picture week 3. You sit in silence. No phone, no distraction, just breathing, just existing. For the first time, you're not bored, not anxious, not searching for the next thing. You're present, sufficient. You don't need entertainment. You don't need validation. You don't need someone else to make you feel whole. You already are whole. Most people can't sit with themselves for 10 minutes. They fidget. They reach for their phone. They manufacture urgency to escape the quiet. Stoics turn solitude into sanctuary. This connects back to what we discovered about examination. When you've faced your shadows, silence becomes peaceful. When you've examined your flaws, your own company becomes good company. When you stop needing others to complete you, you become truly free. Now here's where it gets uncomfortable. Solitude forces you to take responsibility. No one to blame, no one to lean on, no excuses, just you and the choices you've made, just you and the life you've built, just you and the results you've created. This is the part most people avoid. Marcus faced plague, war, betrayal. Alone in his tent, he wrote, "The impediment to action advances action." He couldn't blame circumstances. He could only choose his response. His son disappointed him. His generals failed him. His empire crumbled around him. But in his journal, he never blamed them. He asked himself, "What is my role? What can I control? What must I accept?" This is radical responsibility. The Stoic kind. Think about this. Day 20. You review your life honestly. Every failure, your choices led there. Every success, your effort built that. Every regret, your responsibility to change. Every broken relationship, your contribution to examine. It's harsh, brutal even. But clarity is always harsh before it's liberating. When you stop blaming others, something remarkable happens. You reclaim your agency. You realize that if your choices created the problem, your choices can create the solution. Blame is comfortable. It protects your ego. It keeps you feeling innocent. But blame is also powerless. If others caused your problems, only others can fix them. You become a passenger in your own life. Most people outsource responsibility. Stoics claim it. Remember what we said about self-sufficiency? Taking full responsibility is taking full power. Here's what most people never realize. Now watch what happens when you embrace this. 30 days alone rebuilds your operating system. Your mind declutters. Your values clarify. Your direction sharpens. The fog lifts. Seneca called it otium, productive solitude. Time spent building yourself, not scrolling, not consuming, not reacting to others' agendas, creating your philosophy, your principles, your vision for life. Most people consume endlessly. They absorb content. They read self-help. They watch motivation videos. But they never synthesize. They never build their own system. 30 days alone forces synthesis. You can't just consume when there's nothing to consume. You must produce. You must think original thoughts. You must wrestle with your own questions. Imagine this. Final week. You've journaled daily, meditated, read philosophy, trained your body, sat in silence. You look back at day 1. That person feels like a stranger because you've shed the performance, kept only what's real. The opinions you held to impress others, gone. The habits you maintained to fit in, examined. The goals you pursued because you should, questioned. What remains is essence, the core of who you actually are. Most people add layers to hide themselves. More accomplishments, more possessions, more personas. Layer after layer of protection. Stoics strip away layers to reveal themselves. Marcus wrote, "Waste no more time arguing about what a good man should be. Be one." 30 days alone shows you what you actually are and challenges you to become what you could be. This ties everything together. Rebuilding requires first destroying what doesn't serve you. Here's the one that ties it all together. The 30 days isn't about becoming someone new. It's about removing everything that isn't you. All the borrowed opinions, the people-pleasing, the distractions, the dependencies, the masks, the The performances, strip them away, layer by layer. Marcus wrote, "Dig within. Within is the wellspring of good." He didn't say build within, he said dig, because what you're looking for is already there. Buried, hidden, covered. Covered by years of noise and performance and external validation. Covered by decades of conformity and compromise. Covered by a lifetime of becoming who others wanted you to be. The Stoics believed in an inner daemon, a guiding spirit, your authentic self, your highest nature. It's not something you create, it's something you uncover. Picture this. Day 30. You sit in the same silence as day 1, but now it feels different, not empty, full of clarity, purpose, self-knowledge, direction. You know what you value. You know what you want. You know who you are. Not because someone told you, because you discovered it yourself. You don't need the crowd to tell you who you are. You know who you are. Remember that feeling at the beginning? Lost, surrounded but alone? That version of you no longer exists. You rebuilt yourself. Alone. Deliberately. Not from external materials. From internal truth. Most people spend their lives becoming strangers to themselves. They drift further from their core every year. More compromises. More conformity. More distance from who they actually are. Stoics spend their lives coming home to themselves. Every meditation is a homecoming. Every journal entry is a return. Every moment of silence is a reunion with their authentic nature. 30 days alone doesn't isolate you from the world. It reconnects you to yourself. And from that foundation, you can build anything. Relationships become deeper because you're bringing your real self to them. Work becomes meaningful because it aligns with your actual values. Life becomes purposeful because you've discovered your true direction. The Stoics didn't retreat from life. They retreated to prepare for life. They went into solitude weak and emerged unshakable. That's the promise of 30 days alone. Not escape, transformation. 30 days of intentional solitude can rebuild everything you thought was permanent. Your habits, your beliefs, your identity, your direction. The Stoics proved this 2,000 years ago. Marcus in his tent, Seneca in his study, Epictetus in his poverty. They went inward and emerged masters of themselves. If this helped you see what's possible when you stop running from yourself, consider subscribing for more Stoic wisdom like this. Share your thoughts in the comments below. I read them.